Enjoy the extra special love from Flow and let your love show.
What has happened at St. Jude is a disgrace. It's to me, it's the worst that I've ever seen in my 34 years of engineering in terms of contract administration.
It is an almost 500-page document, but many St. Lucians have been poring through what is said to be the leaked St. Jude audit report. While a reported $70 million has been spent on the project, the report states that 6 buildings on the master plan have not been started. 15 buildings are still under construction. Building material is unaccounted for, and rates for some staff increased by as much as 83% during the project. It's a damning report that civil engineer John Peters says raises issues such as accountability and lack of oversight, as well as the need for cost recovery and legislative amendments.
It is a mess of Herculean, as it says, proportions. It was sad as a professional engineer reading such a document and to see how state funds have been so wasted. It was really difficult to read the document and to see the level of maladministration, as it were, in terms of how you should run a project and run a contract. So that was a bit sad, one must say. And it really goes to the issue of accountability. I would want to say too that we have to hold public servants accountable. We have to hold ministers of government responsible. The Constitution is clear in terms of the responsibility of a minister of directing and controlling his ministry or her ministry. The role of a permanent secretary in terms of his or her responsibility to supervise.
The issue of accreditation has captured the engineers' attention.
Their consultancy says that they were supposed to ensure that the designs were compliant with Accreditation Canada. It's an international body based in Canada. However, what the audit did was that the audit has not mentioned any issues relating to Accreditation Canada or the standards that are available from that particular accreditation body. So there's a sort of a disconnect. The report looks at international standards, and while there may be some sort of parallels with the international standards and Accreditation Canada, if you're doing an audit, you have to base it with the benchmark that is established within the consultancy, which is Accreditation Canada.
Peter says the report failed to adequately address a way forward for the project.
The report said that there is a need for $100 million to complete the project. It did not give any details as to how that figure was arrived. The report also looked at various technical aspects of the project, but there is nowhere in the report that identifies who were the other personnel. And there's just the principal of the firm is mentioned. But I think it's important to know who was the electrical engineer, who was the mechanical engineer involved in analysis, primarily to confirm whether or not their levels of competence was such that they could have produced a report of substance.
So what exactly is the way forward? Peter says it might lie in cost recovery.
12 off-site locations with materials. There were 14 40-foot containers with materials on site. There was one 20-foot container. There were 12 rooms that were used as storage rooms. So I'm saying that there may be quite a substantial amount of material that we have that were procured for the project. Let's assume we put a figure of $7 million as the worth of that material. So you have $7 million there. You have another $7 million of monies that were paid up front that have not been recovered fully in terms of materials that have been supplied. That's 14. There's another 27 million, I believe, still on the Taiwanese loan. So you're talking about 7 and 7, 14 plus another 27 that we can draw down from.
The engineer believes that there should be an inventory of all materials and services paid, a move to complete the surgical wing, and the repeal of the provisions of the Procurement and Stores Regulations Finance Administration Act of 2008, which provides for direct awards by the Minister of Finance. He is hoping that government will sign off on a plan to complete the project. He says it is just as important to ensure that no other capital project goes the way of St. Jude.